All right, here's a few news stories that I thought were interesting. This Eric Feigl-Ding is a doctor that posts a lot of interesting COVID news, and here what he points is a CDC study which shows that masks really do help protect you for wearing masks, which is very good since many places, including San Francisco, are about to end their mask mandates. So people who don't want to catch COVID will be constantly going into spaces where other people are not wearing masks. And he says even a cloth mask would cut the risk in half, and an N95 would cut it by 83%. So that's comforting, especially since there's a lot more good reasons not to catch COVID. In particular, was it this one? Yeah, this was the one that just came out. By analyzing a ton of patients at, I think, VA centers, they discovered that your chance of new heart problems goes up like a lot, like doubles, after you've had COVID. Even if you didn't go to the hospital with COVID, like a year later, you have a much higher chance of heart attacks and other heart problems, strongly suggesting that COVID affects your heart. So, it's probably a really good idea to avoid getting COVID if you can do that. Magento is a web shopping cart people use to process transactions. How about neuro stuff? Yes, there's also evidence of brain fog and other long-term COVID symptoms in some people, like about a third of the people that catch COVID, but I haven't seen a study showing that affects you like a year later. Long COVID is pretty mysterious right now. And how long it lasts and how to treat it, I think it's really in the infancy. That's another good reason. That's why I was already kind of inclined not to catch COVID, but then I found out I probably already had it. However, it's still a good idea not to catch it again, I suppose. Anyway, Magento. There's an earlier version of Magento called Magento 1, which is apparently still widely used, although it has not been supported for more than a year. And it has SQL injections and other serious vulnerabilities, so people have infected more than 500 stores with malware, which will then steal the credit card numbers, I think, from your customers. So it is a pretty serious vulnerability. Vaccine Pfizer also caused heart inflammation? No, not significantly. Pfizer and Moderna have like a 1 chance in a million of causing a temporary heart inflammation. So it's much better than COVID. But you're right, the mRNA vaccines do cause a very small number of heart inflammation cases in young men, but not women or old men. So MoviePass was a thing you may not remember. Several years ago, you would buy this thing and then supposedly you'd pay like a monthly fee and go to all the movies you want. And it turned out that it was too good a deal and they went broke. So now they're going to bring it back, and they're going to only give you free movies if you watch enough ads, and they're going to use the facial recognition feature on your phone to track your eyeballs to make sure you don't look away from the ads. This is not launched yet, but that sounds extremely unappealing, and I highly doubt that very many people are really going to want to sign up and do that. But I guess we're going to see. Magento is the software used by the people who put up stores to process your credit cards, and if they use an old version, then they can put malware on the site which sends an extra copy of your credit card to a third party. That keeps happening. They add malware to the site because of the vulnerability. Yeah, and you say Tesla supposedly also watches your eyeballs to see if you're paying attention to the road. Yeah. And so DEF CON, the guy that runs the DEF CON social engineering village, I think, has been this guy, Chris Hadnagy, who is considered a leading expert, a thought leader in the world of social engineering, but he has now been banned from DEF CON. Apparently he's been doing something awful, abusing people in some way, and he's convinced the DEF CON people to ban him, and the details of what he's done has not yet come out, although this community is pretty rife with gossip, so I imagine it will leak out soon enough. But he's done something so terrible that they've banned him from DEF CON. First person I've ever heard banned from DEF CON. That is not a common thing. But it's... Anyway, that's interesting. DEF CON is trying to deal with, the harassment of people at DEF CON, which certainly happens like any other large group. There are some bigots and there are some sexual predators and other bad things happen, and they try to do something about it. So there's a bill passing through the Senate, and it's passed the committee. This is the Earn It bill. The idea here is, instead of having Section 530 protection anymore, Section 530 is the protection that makes it possible to have social networks like Twitter and Facebook. What it says is you can offer a platform where the users can post things, and if the users post something that is illegal, like libel against someone, factually incorrect, malicious, or anything like that, the platform cannot be sued for that. They are not required to vet the content. Now, if you publish something in the newspaper, you send a letter to the editor, and it's somehow illegal, and they publish it, you can sue the newspaper because they are required to examine the content before they publish it. But Facebook doesn't, and Twitter doesn't. They just put up whatever you put, and it's only because of the protection of Section 530 of the Communication Decency Act. And this act would remove that protection, and they would say you only get that protection if you report and remove all child sexual abuse material, which is kid pornography on there. And that means you have to end encryption of content. So you have to be able to scan all content. And Apple tried to do this about 5-6 months ago. They tried to put software on everybody's iPhone that would check every image to see if it was on a bad list and report it to the government if it was. And there was a huge protest from privacy people saying Apple shouldn't be examining stuff on your phone. And that's where it sits. But this law would force people to, and it's making some progress. It's not a law yet. But the privacy people are, of course, very upset, saying this shouldn't happen. And in the past, this sort of thing has not really helped. But it's the law enforcement agencies are always pushing for snooping on people more. Let's see, good job, Apple, for just broaching your ability to scan phones. Yeah, what happens on your phones won't stay on your phones. That's right. That's what this bill is about. DEF CON can hack your phone. Well, that's what a lot of people think. A lot of people don't bring their real devices to a hacking conference. It's possible your stuff might get hacked there, depending on how you use it. I've always done it and haven't had a problem. But wireless laptop, yes, in principle, they can hack you with a variety of techniques. In practice, it's not really all that common. I've only got hacked once at DEF CON. And that was very educational. I learned something and spent years demonstrating it to people. However, it's certainly true. I wouldn't take a laptop to DEF CON that contains other people's data. Like if you have a work data. I wouldn't take your work laptop to DEF CON because that's kind of irresponsible. It is. So yeah, you should certainly take something there that you would not, it wouldn't ruin your world if it got hacked. That's what I do. I take my personal stuff, but I don't have any company secrets on it. So it depends on how much of a target you are. Nicole Perlroth, who did like national security reporting, said she just doesn't take any electronics at all with her when meeting a source. She just takes like a pen and a paper. Because if you're really important and you're like nation state actors are going to be attacking you, then you need a much higher protection profile. I'm not important, so no one's going to waste a really important attack on me at DEF CON. You have to do threat modeling. So Trump, not only did he shred and destroy records and throw a lot of them down the toilet and all the time, all through his years in presidency, all of which is illegal, but he also took 15 boxes of those records off to Mar-a-Lago with him, which is not his property, and now they took them back. And now they found that it includes top secret documents. So this is a really large crime to mishandle top secret data. Some people may well go to prison over this. Although I imagine it won't be Trump. But that's a pretty serious issue. Anyway, I think that's enough news. I'll just mention this one. This is the 10th recall this year of Tesla. An amazing number of things have gone wrong. Now there's something wrong with the sound to warn pedestrians. I'm glad I don't own a Tesla. There have been just a ton of problems cropping up with Tesla. All right.